Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Shift Happens. My name is Ariana.
And I'm Elena, and today we're going to be discussing the Australian Grand Prix.
So, let's get into it. Aston Martin.
Yep.
They've been having a very good season so far.
Actually, before we even get into the teams, can I just say that this was one of the longest races I think I've ever watched in my life. It was right on the 3-hour mark, and
I fell asleep 2 times.
yeah, we were watching it. It came on at midnight, so I was up till 3 a.m. And while I was also up till 3 a.m., I was making graphics, and I couldn't finish the graphics because freaking F1 would not tell me who had fastest lap, so I fell asleep before I could finish the other graphics.
There was also so much going on, and I was already tired. I was on like 2 hours of sleep for the past 48 hours in total. And after, there was 3 red flags, right?
There were 3 red flags, yeah.
On the 3rd red flag, I was like, that's it.
She passed out.
I'm done.
She passed out on the couch.
I can't do this anymore.
I look over and she's just like knocked back on a pillow.
I was slumped.
Yes. That is
because
the correct term.
It was the 57th lap out of 58. I was like, I didn't think that they were going to change it to be after everyone like DNF'd. I didn't think that they were going to like change it to what the spots were before they put the red flag. I thought that they were going to just do another formation lap, and I was like, why would I stay awake for another formation lap when they can't? There's nothing interesting is going to happen. I'm going to sleep.
I mean, nothing interesting happened, so.
Yeah. Disappointing.
Okay.
I mean, it was a fun race to watch, though, kind of.
I mean, it was very emotional for me. Yeah.
We'll get into that.
Yeah. But no, back onto the topic of Aston Martin. Alonso's Mr. Consistency. I think we have to maybe give him that title for now. P3 in the first 3 beginning races. I mean, like, that's a feat in itself. And, like, it's really nice to see Alonso, like I said before, on the podium again.
And that's a good way to rack up points. I mean, if you consistently keep placing on the podium,
yeah,
you're doing something right.
Aston Martin's now P2 behind Red Bull.
Yeah.
In the Constructors' Championship. So, I mean, like, maybe we'll see Alonso P3 again. Actually, you know what? I would like to see him higher than that.
Yeah, I want to see him higher.
I would like to see him win.
I want to see him beat Max Verstappen.
I think everybody would like to see him beat Max Verstappen.
But he had a sweet moment with Hamilton after the race.
They shook hands on the podium.
And he said something like he was trying to get around Hamilton, but that Hamilton's such a good driver that there wasn't an opportunity to do it, and that he truly is a champion. That was sweet.
Yeah, they're known for being a little spicy towards each other. I was
spicy?
Like, yeah, spicy, like on track.
Spicy like heated.
Yeah, not spicy. Oh, Ariana. No, spicy on the track. Like, they're known for, like, kind of getting under each other's skin or, like, saying something. I mean, like, when you're in the car and you can say some things in the heat of the moment. He was like, does this guy know how to drive? I think it was, like, last year or something like that.
Well, they seemed sweet. Like, it seemed like everything was in good
at the
taste.
end of the day, they're all drivers, and they're 2 of the older drivers on the grid.
True.
With the most accomplishments. But no, onto his teammate. Stroll kind of stayed under the radar, really wasn't mentioned much during the broadcast, but he ended up getting 4th. So
I feel like under like the chaos of everything that was happening, that didn't even go through my mind. I was like, there's people on fire, there's cars spinning out, everybody's hitting everybody, like half of the track is DNF right now. Like, I didn't even realize until I looked at the results at the end that he was like,
yeah,
in 4th place.
I was doing the graphic and I was like, where's Stroll? And I was like, P4? Who decided that they were going to put him there? But I guess that was the aftermath of everybody crashing out and stuff like that. So, but no, onto Mercedes now. Lewis P2. Good to see him on the podium again. I mean, I don't know. When was the last
I wasn't
time?
expecting that.
No, he was leading the race for a good portion of time, and I really thought, this is it. But nope.
I don't get my hopes up. Because as much as I want Max Verstappen to not be first, somehow he just always finds his way.
Yeah. His teammate George Russell wasn't very much so in the spotlight because he was just kind of constantly there, and then all of a sudden he was on fire.
If you follow
literally,
if you follow our Twitter, you saw that I posted Ricky Bobby like running around like, I'm on fire. Help me, Oprah Winfrey. When he was on fire, and the memes that came out of that were pretty funny. Like, obviously we want everybody to be safe and have a safe race, but
no, I mean, he was safe and all good, but it was
a little funny.
I was like, oh my God, he's on fire. Oh my God, the car's in flames.
Yeah.
You know, and then he hopped out with his little long cricket legs and jogged over to the marshals. But no, yeah. I mean, Mercedes had an eventful race.
Yeah.
But it seems like they've kind of got their act together a bit more now. I mean, Lewis was P2. George really wasn't in the spotlight because he was high up, but he really wasn't moving around much.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see them up there. Now onto listen, I don't know what to say about McLaren because they were not doing hot, and then all of a sudden half the grid just disappeared off the thing, and all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, we got points. And I'm like,
that doesn't even count.
I mean, it does at the end of the day.
It counts, but like if it's 8 out of 20, right? There's 10 teams. If 8 out of 20 racers have to be off cannot finish for you to get points, that's pretty embarrassing.
Yeah. I mean, they were like, we got points today. And I was like, yeah, because half of the contenders that would have taken your points are just not there. So, I mean, still disappointing. Their qualifying was particularly disappointing for them. I believe it was either Piastri or it was Norris. One of them was out in Q1, and it was kind of hard to see. And then I think it was Piastri, because they were talking about how upsetting it was because it was his home race. But you chose that team, buddy. Right. I feel like this is the karma you get.
I think that the whole season for them so far has just been karma after karma after karma. Like, I don't think that this really.
Yeah, and Danny was there, and this was Danny's home race. Not a good qualifying, but they did get points though. But no, on to another team that they didn't get points. Both their drivers DNF'd.
Okay. Listen.
Williams Racing.
I don't want to talk about it.
Ariana was so excited at one point, and then I was like, uh-oh, look. And she was like, are you kidding me? I think he was
He was moving up.
He was.
And then when everyone had that, like, garbage fire, dumpster fire of, like, the last few laps,
he got knocked out.
Sargent hit somebody, like, rear-ended somebody, and they, like, showed his camera. It was... whatever.
Yeah, she
Not
just
important.
stood there with her face aghast, like, are you kidding me?
Disappointed, but
yeah,
I'll be okay.
Alex Albon was, I don't know what he was having for breakfast every morning of the weekend, but he did great in qualifying, and then all of a sudden he's just like, what was he, P4, P5, P6, somewhere around there. He was up there for a long time until he got knocked out. Did he have brake issues?
I don't know. I just know that a lot
there
of people
were way
had
too many
issues.
DNFs to know who had what problems besides,
the fire
and
the next issue. You can go ahead and explain this one, Elena.
I literally just wrote on our script in all capitals Leclerc pain, because he couldn't even get down the first lap. It was like turn 3.
That was insane.
And he just went off on the gravel, and my phone started blowing up. It was like it was nobody's business. Everybody was like, how you feeling right now, Elena? And then they're just sending me memes.
Our
and
group
I'm
chat
like,
was going crazy.
I'm like, guys, can we not do this? This is fresh. This is fresh on the head.
And the race had just started. We had an additional, we didn't know we had like 3 hours to go, but we had 3 hours to go.
Yeah, I have decided that this year is not my year. As I've said every single year, being a Ferrari fan. But
we'll get him next time.
Yeah. And then Sainz, he was doing great. He was P5, I think, for most of it. I don't think he got overtaken a single time until he got robbed. I wanted to talk about this because if you watched the race, you heard the very emotional message that came over during the third red flag.
I did not hear it.
I was asleep. Tapped Alonso in that whole debacle. And while they were figuring out the restart procedure, the stewards had given him a 5-second time penalty. And so he sounded so desperate on his radio message, and it was so sad to listen to. I mean, granted, it was like 3 a.m., so I was like done with everything. Mm-hmm. And him just being like, no, guys, please, like, please don't do this to me. I was like, it was heartbreaking to listen to. But he tapped Alonso, and then it went back. So then he ended up P12th at the bottom of the thing because, you know,
everybody was so close.
Yeah. I mean, they were so close because it finished like in a formation lap kind of type of way. But Gasly and Ocon took out Gasly. Yeah. Like, beached both of them. And he didn't get a penalty for it. But Sainz taps Alonso, and they're like 5-second time penalty. Like, you can't.
Well, I thought that it was kind of like hypocritical that this race, their little spots were like extended, right?
Yeah. Okay. So
we had 2 penalties for that. And then now we're like, oh, actually we were the problem.
Yeah. They've expanded the grid boxes because the cars significantly get bigger every single year.
Yeah.
So they were kind of like, I mean, as we saw in the beginning of both the past 2 races, first Ocon, second Alonso, kind of getting screwed over with these penalties because of the grid boxes being way too small and they can't see them. So they extended them a couple of inches. I don't know why Ariana is upset about this, but I mean, like,
it's annoying. Like, you can't already have penalized people for it and then be like,
that's just the way it goes.
The trajectory of their race, and then be like, you know what?
Well, I mean,
never mind. It was a silly, funny joke.
I would rather them do this now, and so it's not a problem for any other racers at the rest of the season. But I think it was needed to see that, like, hey, both these drivers back-to-back races have had major problems with the grid boxes and then serving their penalties, which that is just the team's fault, not the FIA.
I think I'm just annoyed with the Alonso situation. Yeah. Like, I think that annoyed me. So now I'm, like, extra annoyed.
You're just salty about grid boxes.
Yeah. Yep, pretty much.
Well, on to the winner of the whole freaking crap show that it was, Red Bull. Yeah. Red Bull is pulled so far ahead. I mean, Max, Ariana wrote in our script, Max is still annoying. I'm not expecting him. I mean, everybody at the beginning was like joking about, oh, is he going to win every single race? Guys. I mean, didn't Sergio win last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sergio won last week. But
because Max started at like the bottom. Yeah. And he still got second P2?
Yeah.
Bruh.
I think we need to change it from Max is going to win every single race to Red Bull is going to win every single race.
True.
I think they're just going to take it away with this and their stupid little smug Red Bull faces.
I think in my mind, I don't even count them. Like, they're not even a part of the race. To me, I'm just ignoring them. And if they continue to place like first and second, whatever, don't care. I'm just counting everyone else and not them.
Yeah, they just kind of become, it's almost like funny, they just kind of become background noise. You're like, oh, we know who's going to win this race. Who's going to get P2 or P3 or P4 now? Like, the entertainment of the race is going to become the midfield. Yeah. Which it's going to be nice because, you know, you're seeing these other teams scrap for best of the rest, but at the same time, like, you want to be rooting for a really well done race for first.
So I'm hoping Alonso will just beat them.
Yeah. I don't know. So on to the next team was Alfa Romeo. I mean, Zhou got points. I think he got 9th, so that's 2 points for the team. Valtteri did not do well. He got 11th, which, you know, seeing
11 out of 12.
Yeah, 11 out of 12. So, and the only reason he was 11th was because Carlos Sainz got his 5-second time penalty. So technically, he was last. I always kind of like to root for Alfa Romeo. I feel like they're an underdog that I like, but they're not doing so hot this year. So
I have no strong opinions about them.
Yeah, most people don't. They're just kind of there.
Yeah.
Well, on to the next team. Haas. We almost got a Nico Hülkenberg podium. I mean, if they
I did not expect that.
he would have gotten the podium if the stewards had like done the restart procedure of the third red flag differently.
Mm-hmm.
If they had decided not to go back to the original positions, and they had decided to stick with what was currently in line if you were just to say go,
mm-hmm.
and then they had given Carlos Sainz his 5-second time penalty, Nico would have been third. With how it would have turned out, I was kind of hoping for it, because when are you going to see a Haas podium?
It's something different.
And that makes it exciting. Yeah. I mean, Max Verstappen P1, Lewis Hamilton P2, and Nico Hülkenberg P3. Or was it? No, I feel like that would have been different. Because if they were P3, Alonso, I don't know. It was all so confusing. It was also 3 a.m. So
yeah,
it's awesome. Honestly, like all a little fuzzy in my head.
True.
So yeah.
Everything except for the fire is pretty fuzzy in my head.
Yeah. On to the next team. Actually, we had kind of mentioned them before. Alpine had a great race. I mean, Gasly was P5, P6 for majority of the race. It was really nice to see him. I'm a Gasly fan. Apparently, that's like no one, but I really enjoy him. So
don't you have stickers of him?
I do have stickers of him on my laptop. I'm a Pierre Gasly fan.
Do what makes you happy.
And Charles Leclerc and him are like best friends. So I'm like,
okay.
Yeah, my favorite drivers are the best friends. But no, yeah, Ocon took out Gasly. They didn't get a penalty. I mean, Ocon didn't get a penalty. But Carlos like hits Alonso, and they're like, 5-second time penalty. We're going to ruin your race. I mean, maybe they didn't want to add insult to injury, but like at that point, you're stewards. You're not supposed to like take into account the driver's emotions. You're just supposed to look at it like blankly and like award. And I mean, there was a crap fest going on.
Yeah.
So maybe it kind of just went over their heads, but at the same time, like, that doesn't make sense to me. But you were passed out, I think, during this.
After the third flag, like when they were like, we're taking another break, I was like, okay, good night.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't really think about much else besides the fact that I had no idea what was going on. I was tweeting so fast on our Twitter that I think I got Twitter banned.
Yeah.
Like I got shadow banned on Twitter. I don't know how, but it has happened.
Yeah. I mean, you were tweeting like every 3 seconds. And like, I need you guys to picture the layout. Like we're sitting on a couch in a living room. I'm chugging a Red Bull. Not because I support them. Because I have not slept the past 48 hours, more than 2 hours. And Elena's like rapidly tweeting. And I'm like, my eyes are rolling back. I'm trying to keep my eyes open to watch this race. People are on fire. People are spinning out in the gravel. I have no clue. It all kind of feels like a fever dream. Like I feel like I was in and out of consciousness.
You were. You literally, I would look over at one moment, you'd just be staring up at the ceiling. And like Crofty is like screaming, like, what's happening?
I remember though. I woke up and started talking in a British accent.
Oh, it was the funniest thing ever.
The announcers we were listening to were talking in a British accent. And I remember waking up and talking in a British accent.
It was the funniest thing over. So the race had actually ended. This was after she had passed out, and it was the podium ceremony was going on. And like they're playing the Dutch national anthem, which, by the way, I would be fine never hearing that national anthem ever again. I can't listen to the Dutch anthem anymore. It's too much for me. But no, that is happening. And all of a sudden, I'm like cleaning up the blankets to go to bed. And I look over and she gets up and she starts speaking in a British accent like, what time is it? Has it ended? How's the race gone? And I was like, oh my God, she woke up speaking in a British accent.
I was gone. I'm not going to hold you. Right after we like went to go to bed, I knocked out, like straight to sleep.
Knocked out. Her head hit the pillow and it was like snores instantly.
Hey, I don't snore. Did I snore this weekend?
I don't know. You just didn't move. You were like, oh
yeah, I don't move in my sleep.
You're like, she's like a brick. She hit the pillow and that was it. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we don't normally
sleep in the same bed.
place.
I feel like this needs to be. We were at a beach house.
Yeah, we were on a trip.
Yeah, my family is at the beach currently because it is their spring break, and they invited us to come for the weekend. So we were sharing a bed, and that is the only reason why we were sharing a bed. Need to clear the air.
Don't be
bit.
weird. We know you were thinking it. Just be normal.
Yeah. Okay. So on to the next topic after that.
Well, also we need to clarify. We didn't do race predictions, and before you get mad at us and get all butthurt and be like, "Wow, you guys didn't do race predictions," we've had a lot going on. We're full-time students, and we went on a trip. But don't worry, because the competition's still going on. We have more races, and I'm still gonna win.
But I'm winning.
Aren't you winning by like what? Like 2?
Yeah, because we've only done 2 races.
Okay, well, I'm gonna make a comeback. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So the race result: P1 Max Verstappen, 2nd was Hamilton, 3rd was Alonso, 4th was Stroll, 5th was Perez, which once again he won driver of the day, and I congratulate him with that. I mean, he went from P20 to P5.
He had the fastest lap, right?
Yes, he did end up with the fastest lap. So I mean, once again, congratulations, Red Bull. P6 was Norris because half the grid was gone. P7 was Hulkenberg. P8 Piastri. 9th was Zhou. 10th was Tsunoda. 11th was Bottas. My apologies. Valtteri Bottas was 11th. And 12th was Carlos Sainz.
Yeah.
Now onto the DNFs. Pierre Gasly, Ocon, De Vries, Sargent, Magnussen, Russell, Albon, and Leclerc.
And
really
I was
disappointing.
typing these up onto our graphic. I also was helping with the graphic, guys. Before you think that I don't do any work. I worked a little. But as I was typing the graphic, I thought it was quite amusing that I didn't have to alter, how do you say his name, Leclerc?
Charles Leclerc.
Yeah, I didn't have to edit his place because he DNF'd in the same order in the last race.
Once again, we don't need to bring this up. This is too painful for me.
Well, then we could just talk about the positions of the teams.
Yeah, the Constructors' Championship. Okay, so Red Bull first with 123 points. I feel like I'm just going to be like sad for the rest of the season. I mean,
you can just take on my way of thinking and pretend they're not there. And then start and the next team. Like the race and the championship and everything starts after Red Bull.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after Red Bull, second, Aston Martin with 65. Mercedes is third with 56. Fourth is Ferrari with 26. Fifth is McLaren with 12. 6 is Alpine with 8. 7 is Haas with 7. 8 is Alfa Romeo with 6. AlphaTauri is 9th with 1, and Williams is also
like
tied for 9th with 1. So I'm kind of surprised that McLaren is 5th.
Same.
I mean, granted, they wouldn't be 5th had half the place DNF because Alpine would be much higher than them.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that in this next race we can get back to normal and get McLaren back in the bottom.
Oh my God. I love it. You're like, yeah, the new normal is McLaren P9. That's not normal, but
let's keep it that way.
Oh my God.
And let's get Williams back up there.
You're a Red Bull and McLaren hater?
I wouldn't say I'm a McLaren hater. I think, was that who I said looked annoying when they came on the screen?
Who? I don't
remember.
No,
that was George Russell,
right? That was
right?
George Russell.
Listen, they just give me kind of like, I don't know, not the best vibes. And what? I'm basing it off of vibes. There's no, like...
Her vibes is like how they look.
That's not true.
And how they act.
It's how they act. There's no, like, basis skill-wise or, like, car-wise. In any way that matters, I'm not accounting for that. I'm just accounting for how they act and, like, their stance.
And how they act is, like, the 5 seconds that they're on the screen for the media. That, like, she saw George, like, talking to Toto in the garage, and she was like, you know, he's kind of, like, giving me the ick right now. And I was like, excuse you, what the heck?
Listen, my vibes are usually never off.
I'm not going to say that's
It's mostly true.
it's either true or it's not.
That's true. Well, aren't most things true or they're not? But I feel like I have a pretty good success rate. For everyone else, not for me. But like...
Oh my God. Okay, we're going to go on to the next topic before Ariana goes off on a tangent.
Okay, well, I mean, it still is kind of an Ariana tangent because I have some questions. So my first question is, the tires that were used in this race were mostly hard. I saw that on the screen. And I know Elena kind of explained this in the first episode, but I'm going to need to run this back because I don't know what was going on with that.
So basically, she just wants an explanation of the tires. So there are 5 types of tires. There are 3 slick types and 2 wet types. So the three slick tires are soft, medium, and hard, and then the 2 wet are intermediate and full wets. So soft tires are the red ones that you'll see on the screen, and it'll say a little S.
Yeah.
It'll be the graphic there. Soft tires have the most grip, but the least amount of durability, and they're commonly most used for qualifying because in qualifying, you don't need to run a whole full race. You just need to get the fastest lap.
Mm-hmm.
So mediums are next. They're kind of the in-between and the best balance between grip and durability. Those are most commonly used in the beginning stint of a race. Sometimes you'll see people putting on softs at the beginning of a race instead, but it kind of depends on the track you're on too. After that is the hard tires. These have the least amount of grip, but they're most durable. And if you're watching the race and a team has decided to go on a 2-stop pit stop strategy, most likely they're going to be using a hard tire.
Okay.
Because it just goes the longest, and they don't have to come back in and lose time.
Someone was arguing about that, like in their little, like, I guess to their like pit crews. Like, I think they were saying they wanted to like stretch out their length without a pit stop.
Yeah, you'll see on sometimes they'll go on the radio messages and they'll be like, my tires feel fine. I don't feel like I need to come in and change them out. So depending on the team's data that they're receiving back, they'll be like, okay, you need to come pit in now. Or, hey, do you feel like you can hold these out for longer? It just kind of depends on how the driver's feeling and the data that they're receiving.
Okay.
Now onto the wet tires. Intermediate, which are the green one, and then the full wets, which are the blue one. And you'll only ever see these if it's raining.
Wasn't it supposed to rain?
It was supposed to rain. Ferrari said it was supposed to rain at the end of qualifying, but that never came. So once again, another Ferrari fail. But back to the intermediate. Basically, they're a mix between slicks and full wets. They're used on a wet track with no standing water or a track that's like drying. Like the rain is no longer there and it's not raining anymore, but the track is still wet. So
Okay.
these are the ones that will be used on a kind of wet and dry track before they switch back to the slicks.
Okay.
Once there's a racing line established. And then the full wets are used in basically if it's raining and the heavy rain and if the track is standing water, they can disperse a really large amount of water, which is why you'll only see them if the race hasn't been red flagged due to weather conditions and it's like it's raining like pretty well.
Okay.
Because normally for the safety of the drivers and sometimes the full wets just can't work great, like no matter what, they're still really slipping and sliding, then they'll red flag the session because of the weather.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time they'll just put on full wets. Yeah, that's basically the basis of tires.
I was going to make a joke and I was going to say, what tires did your man Charles have on when he spun out?
I don't know, probably like softs or mediums.
Because that was pretty embarrassing.
I'm so confused. I don't understand your joke.
I just thought it was a little funny. Like, I was watching and I was like, no way. The race just started and you're already done?
His tire didn't matter on him spinning out.
I thought he like didn't have grip in the...
I mean, maybe his tires
just went,
maybe his tires just weren't warm enough, but
Because I don't think he got hit.
I don't think he got hit. I think he may have locked up and he just went into the gravel.
I thought he just like spun out.
I don't know. I'd have to watch back. I really tried not to look at it because it was way too painful and it was
You were looking down.
I know.
I feel like it looked like he spun out.
I'm going to trust you because I can't rewatch it.
I mean, I don't know.
It's too
I
painful.
didn't. We'll rewatch it. But My second question is, are there different types of tracks? Maybe he spun out because of like the track type, because I did notice that this one was a little different. Oh, well.
He didn't spin out because of the track type. He's been racing on that track for multiple years. Yeah.
Unfortunate.
But to answer your question, yes, there are different types of tracks. Basically, there are mainly two. It's either a street circuit, excuse me, I'm so sorry, or it's a proper circuit. So street circuits are basically streets in the hosting city that have been built to be racetracks for that specific weekend. They're built on public roads. So, you go 6 months after that race and you can walk where they drove those.
That would be so fun.
F1 cars.
I would be so tempted to
To do what?
drive fast around it.
Oh my gosh. No.
Allegedly.
So some examples are the Monaco track and then Singapore. Actually, which one did we just watch? I'm so blacked.
Wasn't it
we watched
Monaco?
Melbourne. No, we watched Australia, which is
it was an M.
It's a street circuit. So that is a street circuit. But that's a street circuit that's kind of like a hybrid because it's used for public roads, but at the same time, the way they've built it allows for kind of like these runoff areas to help the drivers. So it's kind of like a hybrid.
And that's what the dirt was, right?
Yeah, like
dirt
the
and
gravel
stuff on the side.
Yeah. So the other one is proper circuits, and these are just the ones that are built for racing. So the Monza circuit, the Circuit of Americas in Austin, Texas, which is COTA, or the Hungaroring. These are all circuits that are built specifically for racing, whether it's Formula One, Formula E, all the other formulas, or for motorcycles. It kind of these are the ones that are just built specifically for car racing. Yeah,
I think we should go to the races in Texas.
It's so expensive. It is so expensive. Also, we may be a little too late.
What would happen if you just call Taylor up?
I mean, I am going to Monza.
Exactly.
So I am going to Italy in September to go watch the Monza race. I'm so excited.
I'm not going to Italy.
I will be wearing all Ferrari.
I really hope that they have a good race so that you don't
come back crying.
There was a guy that they showed that was wearing, didn't he say like, I traveled this many miles to
it was a funny meme, and it was like the difference between Red Bull fans and Ferrari fans. And it was a little kid that was holding up the sign that said, "Max, you're my number one. I'm like your number one fan." And he looked all happy. And then next to him was a guy holding up a sign and says, "Charles, I traveled 11,000 kilometers to come see you. Please don't crash out."
Yikes.
And then turn 3, lap 1.
In the first lap.
Yep.
Well,
basically, I have nothing else to talk about in this podcast because I think I'm still mentally trying to understand everything that happened. Honestly, it was it was a race. That's all I can say about it. It was a race.
Shift happens. Ha 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 ha. Well, I think that's all we have to say about that. So thank you for listening to Shift Happens, and tune in next time to hear us talk about cars and all things F1.
Yeah, it'll be a hot second. Actually, I think the next race is April 28th through the 30th. So
look forward to seeing our vision boards. I made her make one.
Yeah. My vision board. That's totally done. Well, we're definitely not side-eyeing each other right now. But no, yeah, we'll definitely have to do an episode in between that just to kind of talk about, there's probably going to be some news that comes out. It's never quiet on F1 Twitter or in F1 drama. There's always something brewing. So we'll come out with an episode then, but thanks for listening and have a great week. Bye.
Bye.